Welcome to Energy Charts Today, and today's edition for Tuesday the 4th of April comes to you from London. My name's David Linton, and we cover first of all exchange traded products, and then we'll look at some European products from the Trayport, so European OTC products. So first of all, we start with Brent crude. Key thing here is that we are just seeing a little bit of a sell-off in the short-term chart. The long-term picture is still bullish in the long term, but this medium term chart is starting to turn bearish. Crude running out of steam early this year. We do have an upside target of 55.60, but we need to move above the high that we saw a couple of days ago to activate that. Would be a further 5% upside, so that would be quite key. One thing to do is to take a look at the 1 minute chart, just see the targets on that, press the T key on your Updata system. We've got 55.60 and 55.70, so those 1 minute upside targets are there. What I'm really looking for are what are the downside targets, and we're seeing that at the moment not much downside in the very short term. The 1 minute chart, remember, is what's going to happen in the next couple of hours. So we see here, and so keep an eye on that during the day if you're trading crude. So we see here that this sell-off is not really yet producing much by way of downside thrust targets. WTI, very similar picture. We don't have the upside targets here that we have on the Brent chart, and we do have this downside thrust target here on the medium term chart, so still that hangs over us. Heating oil, very similar picture as crude, as we might expect. US NatGas just coming through the cloud here. This big thrust here does give us a target to the downside, and that target is 297. And on the 1 minute charts, that is activated, so that is worth just keeping an eye on. Does look like we will head back to this $3 level on NatGas. RBOB still continues to be the standout, bullish on all three time frames. It's flattening here at the moment, but we have a lot of upside targets here on the short-term chart. Taking a look at coal really rising quite strongly at the moment. We're seeing this target to 68.72. That's where we're really aiming for on that target. Just very bullish in the short term through the cloud, not yet quite through on the medium term chart. So there is resistance there, and we'd need to, on this medium term chart, we'd need to break really this 69.70 level to activate these upside targets into the 80s and 90s and negate these downside targets into the mid 40s. So that will be key. The big question is, will crude recover or fall away? Obviously a big driver there. Emissions still look pretty weak below the cloud. Looking at front month MBP, we see here again we're just seeing a rise above there, so that's quite significant. And TTF also just rising strongly there on the exchange traded contract. We'll look at the OTC in a minute. Looking at the dollar index, bullish above the cloud, so that's looking pretty good short term. That will obviously have an impact on any spreads that people are looking at with dollar denominated products. Dollar is looking strong. Euro is looking weak below the cloud, and sterling is come back below the cloud and is weaker as well. A move below 124 significantly would actually give us 120 downside. And we see against euro sterling, the sterling is just falling away here at the moment. Euro strength is holding the hand there. Taking a look at OTC products, we start with MBP front month. This data all coming from Trayport Joule, so the more history you've got, the more you can do this analysis. We see here on the medium term it's very bearish below the cloud, but short term we've crossed above, and that gives us some upside potential. 41.78, a further 1.9% upside. Of course, what we can do is look at the Joule, so straight away you can go from Joule straight to the Updata chart, and we see here on Joule, if we go to the 1 minute chart, we can get the trends and targets. Just press the T key on your Updata system, and we here have got targets of 41.70, that's 171, 1.71%, and 44.45, that's a further 8% upside. Now I must stress, if you've got fuller broker histories, if you've got the more brokers you have, the more those targets are going to be fulfilled. My system, I'm operating on a limited amount of broker data, so you'll probably have better data than me, and that's the advantage of running off the Trayport screen. Looking at Within day, the prompt market's looking pretty strong. A lot of markets recovering here. Winter, summer, not quite yet through on the short term, but also looking stronger. And the day ahead also just wandering through on the cloud. So most gas products looking stronger. Looking at TTF again, we're starting to come through the cloud. The last few days really trending strongly. We've got an upside target here of 17.13, which is 5% upside. Again, we can go back to our Trayport screen. We can straight away from the OTC screen just go update a chart. That will give us the chart in Updata. Go to the 1 minute, press the T key, and here we've got our targets. So we've got 17.13 and 17.33, upside of 5 and 6%. Keep an eye on that. That's the 1 minute chart on that OTC data, of course. Taking a look at winter summer, it's recovering as well, as is the prompt market day ahead. NCG just coming through the cloud on the short term, and Gazpool not quite through yet. Taking a look at power markets, well, German power has really been powering ahead. It's a bit flat this morning, not as strongly up as gas, but we are seeing this real bounce at 28. And again, we can actually open the chart for German power in the short term. Just type in German in your system, take Euro years, the continuous contract and Updata, and then just go for the 1 minute chart, press the T key, and we see here we've got these upside targets of 30, 80 and 31. We gave you those targets yesterday. We've got a lot closer to those targets, but that's where we're headed for at the moment on German power. So that's quite exciting. A further 1.6, 2.13% upside. German power looking particularly strong at the moment, and we see that in the quarters and the months as well. French baseload also just recovering through the cloud on the short term, but obviously the big sell-off after the nukes last year has still had an impact on this chart. And we look at the quarters here, we see French quarters just coming through, and the months just coming through on the price, but nowhere near as clear as the German power chart, which is a little bit better behaved. Dutch power just struggling, having come below the chart, just struggling to get back through, and Italian power similarly just struggling to get through. Spain is one of the standouts where we are seeing bullish on all three time frames. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.